Hey, what's going on, you guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I want to continue a series that I started a while ago titled Heal Sis. I am 36. I am on the other end of my IVF infertility journey. I am coming up on 16 years of marriage, and I just feel like I just have so much to say now. And I feel like not only do I have so much to say, my point of view is just like more broader and more well-rounded now that I'm on the other end of a lot of experiences. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and jump on into the first topic that I want to talk about is setting healthy boundaries when you have a not so good relationship with a parent. More specifically for this video, I'm going to be talking about a mother-daughter relationship. So a little bit about why I want to talk about the subject. So a lot of times when trauma is normalized, you don't even know it's trauma, right? And so my whole life I've always kind of normalized because I've seen it not only in myself but in other mother-daughter relationships. However, I knew something wasn't right, and so when I began my journey to motherhood, I began to intentionally seek out videos on YouTube that maybe talk from that point of view, and I didn't really see a lot. But then I stumbled upon Brenny Lee, I believe that's her name. I'm gonna link her video below, and it's just like she read me. Like everything she said in that video was just like, yes, sis, that was my childhood. So like I put on her video in the comment, I said I keep coming back to this video every month because I was pregnant at the time, and I was like really intentional about not wanting to repeat the same thing that my grandmother did to my mom and my mom did to me. I was just like really intentional about trying to figure out where those things start, right? And so, and I don't really see this tension between mothers and sons. It's always between mothers and daughters. And so, like, I didn't know at the time what I was having, but I just want to be a better mom than what I've seen, you know, from other people, especially with mother and daughter relationships. So I began to seek out videos, just trying to, you know, figure this whole thing out. And then when, you know, at the same time I was going with my counselor and we would talk about certain things. And so as I began to talk to my counselor a little bit about my childhood, she was like, like, this don't sound right. The math ain't mathing, sweetie. And then for the first time I felt like, oh, maybe, you know, that wasn't normal. And so I'm not going to go too much into it, but my parents divorced when I was around 10 years old. From the age of 10 to 17, I lived with my father. I left home at 17. And between the ages of 10 and I would say about 14, I lived with my mom on the weekends and then, you know, sometime during the summer. But after I turned about 15, I lived with my daddy exclusively. I'm not going to go into too much detail as to why that all happened, but just know that I lived with my dad exclusively from the age of 15 until I left home at 17. But nonetheless, I have never really had a good long-term relationship with my mother, and it's sad because I've always wanted that. And especially during my pregnancy, me and my mom only contacted each other about twice during my pregnancy, and we text back and forth. But then she brought it up a few days ago when I was speaking of the relationship between my brother and I, and how that has kind of gone in and out, especially now that he's, you know, he's grown now, he's 20 years old. So she was like, well, relationships go in and out, you know, that's just how life is. And like when you were pregnant, we only talked twice. And I'm just thinking, like, is that normal? Like, do you think that's okay? I was sitting there like major confused because if I have a daughter, I would never. Like, if I have a daughter and she's pregnant and she tells me, Mommy, I'm pregnant, as somebody who has carried a child, like, I know what goes on with your body. I know what goes on with your mind. I know what goes on just with everything. You're like so all over the place. I will be over my daughter's house every day as much as she would let me, putting up her feet, cooking her meals. I would be over there doing all the things to make sure that she's okay. Like, I just don't see myself being that way. And then not only that, and not having my baby shower, my best friend actually threw my baby shower, and it was emotional. And as I began to look back over major events that had to do with me, that had to do with somebody celebrating me, I noticed a trend. It's always the same kind of behavior every time something has to do with me being celebrated. As long as she's being celebrated, it. As long as she has all the attention, it's fine. But when it's time for me to, you know, especially when I was getting married, like, it was the same energy when I got married. It's the same energy when I used to run track and do music. Anytime things were about me, no matter the age, even when I was a kid, she would either not come. When she came, she would always kind of downplay my success or all these things. And then when I used to model, this is when it really got crazy. When I used to model, I remember the local mall put my picture up as their display for their pictures. And so, you know, everybody around town saw my picture in the mall front, like, oh, da, 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 da. You know, and then she was all like, she made up this weird argument in the car. And then in the heat of the argument, she was like, you think you're this and you think you're that. And I said, what's your problem? It's like, I was major confused. I was 18, 19 at the time. And then she was like, sometimes parents get jealous of their kids. So that really, like, it really, like, dawned on me that a lot of things that she was trying to do was out of jealousy. And so I don't understand, how can you be jealous of your own child? Like, this is your child. Like, the things that they are doing is because you were a good parent. I don't understand that. So I'm not going to go too much into all of that side. Just know I had to set some healthy boundaries for me, especially after my pregnancy. When I noticed that that kind of vibe from people, every time it's something that it's time for you to be celebrated or you to be acknowledged, and they come with this kind of stuff, man, you got to set some boundaries, because people always have you feeling some kind of way. They always, anytime you're doing something well, they'll either make you feel like you're not deserving, or you're prideful, you think you're all of this and all of that. And what's wrong with thinking you're all of that? Like, what's the problem with that? You know, me thinking that I do something well, that I put hard work into, what's the problem in that? Like, it's no different than the next person thinking they're all of that. If you put in the work, if you put in the time, you have the skill set, you have the natural talent that comes with it, what's the problem with thinking that you're all of that in that area? Like, what, as opposed to what? I don't understand. But nonetheless, if you're in that space where you're trying to figure out these dynamics, and it's just, the math ain't math, and you like, this person just don't make no sense, it's probably not you. It's probably them that has to work out some of their childhood issues, them that's trying to project everything on you, them that's trying to place their insecurities on you to try to make you feel like you're the problem when they don't want to look at the person in the mirror. And so if that is you, this is some of the things that has helped me out along the way. One, limit how much you share with that person. I know, like, if this is a mother-daughter relationship, I just want to tell my mommy everything that's happening in my life, and I just want her to be happy for me. It's not gonna happen. So, you know, just let it go. I know it's easier said than done. I laugh at it, but I'm really being serious, because it is really sometimes sad. And I do have this annoying habit to laugh when things are sad. I don't know. But anyway, you have to let it go. It is for your own good to let it go. You want that person to be happy, because I will tell you, don't nobody know how to build you up and break you down like your parents. Like, you can say, you know, people people ain't gonna get close to me, but ain't nobody closest to you like your parent, especially your mother, because you inside of her. She knows you. She knows what makes you tick, you know, and either a good parent will use that to build you up, but a bad parent will use that to tear you down. And so if you're in that space where you have a parent that's always digging at you, always digging at your self-esteem, always calling you names, or trying to make you feel like the world's ugliest person in there, you know, you have to let it go. You can't share those things that are dearest to you and expect them to take it in the way that you think they would take it as a good parent. And no, it is not you. It is not something that you don't have to stop shining because of them, but be wise in what you share with them, because you know, because knowing their personality, you know, you probably won't get the response that you are seeking from them. And I would say the biggest help for me is cultivating a relationship with older women that kind of had that mom feel, and you know, nobody You know, because sometimes older people don't want to be your mama. But you will meet some people that will love on you and kind of feel that motherly role in your life. So try to cultivate those relationships with people, and be limited on what you share with that parent that cannot, you know, that takes everything that's positive in your life and try to either downplay it or become jealous over it or try to sabotage it or tarnish it. You know, just don't share it. And two, limit your interaction with that parent too. It's like for me, like running. I know, like, as I told you guys on my other videos, if you're familiar with my channel, I used to like to run. I would still be running if my knees would knee right. But after having my son, my knees just ain't right. And so as I'm getting back in shape, hopefully running will be in the near future. But nonetheless, I equivalent this to running. So whenever I'm getting back in shape, I used to run 5 to 10 miles, right? So whenever I'm getting back in shape, I never exhaust myself on the track. Like if I know that I can run 3 miles, I may only run 1, because I always want to walk away from the track knowing I can give more, right? And so that's how I kind of parallel that to the relationship with setting boundaries with my mom. You know, whenever we interact, if we link up or we hang out, I always try to limit our activities to 30 minutes to an hour. I try not to be in a space, the same space with my mother, longer than, you know, like an all-day event. No, that ain't gonna work. Or like a, you know, like a 5-6 hour. I kind of limit our time together because one, it leaves us kind of like wanting to come back together. We had a good experience for 30, 40, you know, minutes to an hour. We kind of walk away feeling like, oh, you know, we can do that again. That wasn't so bad. Or that was pretty fun. But like if we try to be around each other all day, we're gonna be like, you know, we some head muscle. I remember that song. Okay, I'm showing my age, but anyway, I mean, for real though, like we're gonna be like butting heads all day. So I try to limit our activities between, you know, 30 minutes to an hour, and trying to be around too much because then, you know, stuff gets said and feelings get hurt. Mainly my feelings. But anyway, limit your time that you interact with each other. And 3, have no expectations. When I tell you, that's the hardest one for me, like, because as a mother myself now, like, I have expectations for myself. I'm pretty sure my son has expectations for me, even at 4 months, because, like, I would tell you, my son will bob that head anyway. He will wiggle schmiggle himself around, and he has the expectation that mama's gonna catch me no matter which way I bobble. And so he has this expectation that mom is safe. When he sleeps in my arms, he knows he can relax because mom is holding me. When you have that not so good relationship with the parent, more specifically a mom in this area, you have to throw all your expectations out the window and just take them for what they are. And know, again, it has nothing to do with you. If you listen to them long enough, it's probably something that has happened in their childhood where they didn't feel safe, where they didn't feel like their emotional needs were met, where they didn't feel heard or seen. And it has nothing to do with you. They try to put the same ingredients from their childhood that broke them into you, and you can't let it break you, because what broke them, you know, really burned you in the fire, made you stronger. You know, when I was growing up under that kind of situation, you know, it made me a more sensitive person. It made me more understanding, sadly. And sometimes you don't have to always understand why people do things. Like for me, I always try to think about what makes people tick. What is the origin? What is the root of this? And you don't always have to do that. You don't always have to be the doormat in that situation where you allow yourself to be when you allow yourself to be under the foot of all of this that is going on. You are not the counselor. You are not the issue. You are not the problem. It's their unhealed heart. It's that unhealed child within them that is the issue, that's crying out, that's saying, I want you to understand me. And in their sense of wanting you, the child, to understand them, they create the same environment because they want you to feel their pain. They want you to know their walk. They want you to empathize with them. And that has nothing to do with you. That is all I have for you guys in this video. Until next time.